So I posted a poll on my Instagram story, and it was asking whether or not you guys would be interested in a discount code for a suture kit. And from all of the messages that I got or received in my inbox, it sounded like a lot of people didn't know that CRNAs would even actually need to have the skill. So to me, that was an indication that I needed to make a video specifically about like what is a CRNA, and I realized that I never made one. So this is what this is for. So right now, a big portion of my schooling is clinical. I'm going to be doing clinical 4 days a week and working on my DNP project, as well as some other DNP courses. So I feel like I'm a little bit more comfortable in being able to speak on what I've seen CRNAs do and what I'm learning to do. CRNAs are trained to independently do the following things: the pre-op assessment from head to toe, med recs, regional anesthesia, general anesthesia. That includes the induction, the maintenance, and the emergence of anesthesia. Resuscitation, if it's fluid, pharmacological, CPR, any type of resuscitation, we are trained to independently administer and direct that. Placing central lines, arterial lines, we do that. We are trained to independently do all of those things. Now, where this, I think, becomes great for people who don't know what CRNAs do, who aren't in the field, who don't know much about it, is if there's an MD involved, an MDA or an anesthesiologist. Where's the gray area? What are CRNAs allowed to do versus what an MDA is allowed to do? And that depends on your location, your hospital, and the model that they follow. So although CRNAs are trained to do all of those things independently, whether or not they are able to practice to that full scope depends on the way and how their hospital or whatever practice that they are working at. It depends on what type of model, anesthesia model, that they use. They call these anesthesia care models. So anesthesia can be given by a CRNA on their own, an MDA on their own, and by MDA or MD in this sense, I'm talking about an anesthesiologist. So they can be given with a CRNA by themselves, in conjunction with an MDA, or just by an MDA, or with an MDA and an anesthesia assistant. I have not encountered an anesthesia assistants where I am at. They're not very popular here in North Carolina. I've heard of a few, but I just haven't seen them. The thing with anesthesia assistants is that they cannot practice on their own. Their license is tied to an anesthesiologist's license. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. So yeah, depending on where you are, if it's all CRNA run, obviously the CRNA is going to be doing everything. How it works with a mixed model, is like I like to call them, an MDA to supervise like from 2 to 4 rooms where a CRNA is actually in the room. That CRNA is with that patient every breath, every second of that surgery. There are certain rules and laws that govern when and how much an anesthesiologist must be in the room, meaning a lot of times they have to be present on induction of anesthesia and on emergence. Now, whether they do is neither here nor there. There's a lot of variation on that, but that's what this video is about. Okay, I had to go somewhere really quickly, and it was raining outside, so that's why my hair's back up. Yeah, so dependent on which model your hospital uses, that can determine what skills that you as a CRNA will be able to utilize. Some MDs like to only do regional and not have anybody else do the regional. So you at that facility as a CRNA might not be doing a lot of regional techniques. I've seen where MDAs are really, really hands-off and let CRNAs do regional, do everything, and pretty much run their case start to finish. And they're just, outside of the operating room watching vitals and things on the outside monitor. So it varies, it's a spectrum, and it just depends. Now, me going into the Air Force, I will be an independent provider, and I will be able to work to my scope and utilize all the skills that I am being taught and will be taught as time goes on. This kind of leads to a small minor point that I want to touch on really quickly about your scope of practice. You can only do what you are comfortable with, and you will be comfortable with certain skills if you are taught them and you're able to practice them and do them, and if you're taught them well. And that just goes to where you are going to school and if you are being taught. And so for me, like I've always said, me coming to the school that I chose, I wanted to be proficient in every single skill within my scope of practice. So with regional, I want to be able to perform any regional block, and I'm taught to do so. I'm taught via cadaver and in clinical practice. So that was important to me. And so going to a school where I knew that that was something that wasn't just kind of put on the back burner, oh, we'll go through it. I wanted to be sure that I was taught. So if those are things that you are hesitant, if you're worrying about what CRNAs do and what their scope of practice is, pay attention to what school you're going to, and then pay attention to where you're going to be working. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any more questions, please leave them down below. I felt that this was a topic that needed to be touched on. Because I thought, obviously it's a basic thing, CRNA, Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist, but what do they do? So I hope you guys learned a little bit of something. Again, leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and thank you for watching. Bye.